57 to 64.
This is Rush Limbaugh, the Talk of Town, 1150 WGBR. Yeah!
Rush Limbaugh.
Center stage on the mic.
Having more fun than a human being should be allowed to have. Boy, I can't wait till this weekend. I'm so excited. I get to go to the Super Bowl. And I just, you know, when I was down in Miami on Tuesday night, Ed Bark of one of the Dallas newspapers came up. He's a TV writer down there. Said, all right, so who are you pulling for? I said, I can't answer that, Bark. I said, whatever I say to you is going to end up in Buffalo and Dallas both, and I don't want to anger anybody. He said, and this is the truth. I am just hoping for a good game. As a football fan, and neither of these teams are my favorite teams. No, I don't say that I dislike them. My favorite teams aren't around, but I want to see a good game. And you know, Atlanta's a great. So I'm just looking forward to going. I get to do a bunch of stuff. I mean, this is like an adult Christmas. I mean, I'm hip. I'm hot. I'm hyped, psyched. I'm ready. I'm whatever. I'm jazzed. I'm wired. I mean, I wish I could go today and take tomorrow off and just get down, but I'm not going to do that because I also realize my commitments to you people. Here's Neil in Hamburg, New York. Hi, welcome to the Rush Limbaugh program.
Rush.
Hey.
Mega dittos.
Thank you.
Hamburg is a small suburb of Buffalo.
Yeah.
And don't you think the Vegas odds makers are giving Dallas quite a bit of points?
No, you guys, you know what the odds makers are doing here. They're not predicting the outcome of the game.
That's right.
They come up with a point spread that's going to get as much money on either side of the line so that they don't lose. They've got to give a 10-point spread to get a lot of Dallas money, and it'll really anger Buffalo people, so they'll run in, 10.5? Well, watch this. Here's my 500, pal. And the odds makers want to make sure they get the same amount of money on Buffalo and Dallas so that no matter how the game comes out, the odds makers win.
Marv Levy made a good point at his news conference. He said Dallas is the best football team that the Bills are going to play this year. But he said, don't forget, Buffalo is the best team that Dallas is going to play this year. And Buffalo did beat Dallas the second game of the season.
Yep, week 2, 13-10, no Emmett.
Irving without Emmett Smith. I'm telling you, I think this is Buffalo's year.
Buffalo is not a bunch of patsies. Buffalo beats good teams. Buffalo always, I mean, this is the one thing about Buffalo. People may hate the fact that they're there simply because it's the same team for now 4 consecutive years, and they just get blown out in these games. That's what people are reacting to. But the fact of the matter is that the Buffalo Bills, they legitimately ought to be there. They didn't skate by anybody. They didn't get an official's call that put them through. They beat the best in the league when they played them.
We beat every team in the NFC East,
right,
including the Cowboys, Rush. And Rush, my dad in Jekyll Island, Georgia, he's a big fan.
Oh, good.
Loves you to death, Rush.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Nice speaking to you.
All right, great to talk to you. North Caldwell, New Jersey, up next. And Mike, welcome to the EIB Network.
Hi, Rush.
Hi.
Before I get to Mr. Foster, can I ask you a question about your calendar?
About my calendar?
Your Light of Truth calendar.
Oh, yeah.
There's a black caricature, black and white caricature appearing out of a White House window. Who is that man?
Bring the calendar to me. Somebody out there, Mr. Snurdley is making a mad dash down to the office for that calendar. I will tell you who it is peering out of the White House window.
Okay.
After the rest of your call.
Okay, fine. I have questions about the special prosecutor or special counsel. Last week, the Times printed a regulation on jurisdiction of the special counsel, and none of it has anything to do with Foster. They all start out in Ray Madison Guarantee Savings and Loan. Nothing has to do with investigating the death of Mr. Foster.
Well, but he's going to.
Well,
he has the charter.
Where does he get it from? It doesn't say that. Legally, it doesn't appear to me that he does. I know that the president said on Larry King that he did, but I don't see whether he really can do that. Is that regulation?
He can because Foster is very much involved in both Whitewater and Madison. He was the Clintons' attorneys.
Well, I know what you're saying, and it makes sense, but it seems to me that the regulation is very limiting. I also have a comment about the news that occurred back when Foster died. I went and looked at the New York Times, the old New York Times, and things that seem innocuous at the time, when you go back and read them, I think are very interesting. In the eulogy, when Clinton went back to Arkansas, he spoke of Foster's failure to protect himself as beyond understanding. Now, that word, protect, suggests to me something that's very different from the official line.
Clinton also had a reaction that I found strange before the eulogy to his first statement, and I was in Israel at the time, so I saw this all later. I did not see this in the heat of the moment, as it were. I was in Israel, and I got back. That would have been it was
the 20th.
Yeah, 20th. And what day of the week was the 20th? It was July 20th.
It was a Tuesday.
Yeah, it was a Tuesday, because this year it's going to be a Wednesday. It was a Tuesday that happened, and I got back on Friday, and I didn't get back on the air until the 25th of July. So I had missed the heat of the moment, and so I'm watching everything on videotape. And I thought what Clinton said in his first response or first statement to the death was, it's sorry when somebody dies. It's as though he's like he died of old age, like a totally natural thing that had happened. Like the death was nothing unexpected or surprising in any way. And I don't remember specifically Clinton's words, but it was his words coupled with his attitude that piqued my interest.
Well, in fact, they did switch from speaking about not knowing any reason at all for his suicide to painting the picture of depression. The first day or two was, we can't understand any reason for this. And I found that very troubling at the time.
It's a good point. You're right. Don't know why it happened. Then it went, he was very troubled. He was seeing a psychiatrist, maybe taking medication, and then to the Wall Street Journal editorials. And then don't forget, 2 hours after all this, the office is sealed, and they take a file out of there that nobody knows exists for 5 months. And that's why the prosecutor has a legal right to look into this. There are irregularities surrounding the events immediately after his suicide or his death, and in fact, the events that are his suicide and death. Now, I've got the calendar in front of me.
Okay.
That is Eleanor Roosevelt.
Really?
Yeah, the reason why it's Eleanor Roosevelt, don't forget that Mrs. Clinton came to Lincoln Center in New York and said that she has conversations with Eleanor Roosevelt about how she must have felt when she was First Lady, and she seeks guidance from her. She actually talks to her, to the ghost of Eleanor Roosevelt. Now, we don't know whether Eleanor Roosevelt answers, but Miss Clinton said this, and so that's why we've put that's why specifically Eleanor Roosevelt here is in black and white to typify a ghost-like figure.
Well, I'm glad you cleared that up for me. I hope I have the opportunity to revise and extend my remarks on Mr. Switzer's excellent summaries on CompuServe.
All right, thank you very much.
You
bet. John Switzer, that's right, John Switzer, I think now lives in the Bay Area, but he used to live out in Santa Barbara. And this guy is just a ditto head par excellence and extraordinaire. And ever since this show began, this man has been writing daily summaries of this show, in addition to everything else he does. Now, for those of you who know computers, every summary is a 43 kilobyte file. I mean, it's the closest thing that there is to a transcript, and it's coupled with Switzer's own wry sense of humor as he analyzes the show. It's on CompuServe. It's in the issues forum in the library there. Glad you called. Thanks much. We'll be back after this.
You're listening to the EIB Network.
Imagine meeting 50 people and remembering all their names, having a photographic memory and recalling virtually everything you see, hear, or even think about. Kevin Trudeau, founder of the American Memory Institute, brings you the easy-to-learn Mega Memory. Increase your own memory 500% or more guaranteed. As seen on TV, over 1 million people now benefit from the Mega Memory Home Study Course. Call 1-800-862-MEGA today and receive a 50% discount. That's 1-800-862-MEGA, 1-800-862-MEGA.
It will happen Saturday, January 29th. Julio Cesar Chavez, Simon Brown, Azuma Nelson, and Felix Trinidad. 4 world champions will defend their titles against 4 top-rated challengers. The Super Grand Slam of Boxing. 4 championship fights. Saturday, January 29th. live on pay-per-view from the MGM Grand Las Vegas. Don't miss it. Call your cable company.
Don't miss the Super Grand Slam of Boxing live on pay-per-view January 29th. Call your cable company.
Jazz it up in a new 94 from Leith Chrysler Plymouth. Jeep Eagle Dodge Isuzu with low prices on 94 Dodge Dakota Sports. V6 Air Cassette only $199 a month. 94 Dodge Shadows $149 a month. Isuzu Q16 new 94 only $156 a month. And 94 Jeep Cherokee SEs only $222 a month. Payments based on 20% down, all prices plus tax, tags, and $138 dock fee at Leith Chrysler Plymouth. Jeep Eagle Dodge Isuzu, Highway 70 West, Goldsboro.
When your job puts you in a world of hurt, you need the power of BC.
Power, BC Power.
Being a shrimper is hard work from sunup to sundown.
BC Power in the powder, the power of BC.
We put out miles of net, then we have to haul them all back in. It makes for a backache 5 miles long.
BC Power in the powder, the power of BC.
My back feels like I've hauled in 1,000,000 miles of net, but BC stops the hurting fast.
You need something to see you through, something strong so you'll feel like new.
And now, from the makers of BC, introducing new Keep Going Alertness Aid. For those times when you're drowsy but need to keep alert. Safe as a cup of coffee. New Keep Going caplets. Keep alert with Keep Going.
The power of BC.
Use as directed.
Breast cancer. 1 in 9 American women develop the disease in their lifetimes. Take the time to make your birthday count this year. Use your day as a reminder to schedule an appointment for a mammogram.
I'm Caroline McMillan. My husband, Congressman Alec McMillan, and I want you to make your birthday count. Call your doctor for this important exam.
WGBR.
Talent on loan from God. Rush Limbaugh. And the EIB network, the EIB World Service, shortwave, 15.420 megahertz, and the Armed Forces Radio Network worldwide, plus the 640 radio stations in the United States and Guam, which carry this program. A cellular call from Carson City, Nevada next. Hi, Fred. Glad you called.
Hello.
Hello.
Ditto's from Reno, actually.
Thank you, sir.
What I wanted to tell you was that I've got what would be considered the real story on the Andersons. My wife works at the hospital where she was taken and operated on. He did lose his job. They ended up paying $2,000. They refused to fill out the paperwork for county assistance, which they were eligible for because he was unemployed.
Mm-hmm.
Then they refused to negotiate with the hospital, which wanted to work with them as far as some sort of a payment plan. They refused to do that and filed bankruptcy, actually, before they could even get any payment plan worked out, and the hospital ended up writing off the whole bill, along with, on an average, they do about this last year was $63 million worth of write-offs of free medical care.
So what did they write the letter to the president to complain about?
I have no idea.
Well, I tell you what, my CompuServe mailbox was overflowing yesterday and last night with mail, both pro and con on this. A lot of the mail centered on the way I analyzed it yesterday was that Mr. Anderson certainly could have exercised his rights to access health care via the COBRA plan.
Right.
And chose not to. Then others wrote and said, Rush, you heartless, mean guy, don't you understand? Yes, they were cared for, and yes, she got what she needed, but they also got a bill of over $100,000 and they couldn't pay it, and that's not right. And look, I stand by what I said yesterday. There was a way for these people to get health insurance. That's the only thing you need to know here. There was a way for them to get it. Bill Clinton used their story as an example of the inadequacies of the U.S. healthcare system. That these people were somehow left out, that the safety net had holes in it and they fell through the cracks, and that they weren't able to get health care, and they had this astronomical bill that wiped them out and so forth and so on. And it was, however you slice it, it's a clear misrepresentation by the president for his own selfish advancement of his agenda.
I absolutely agree. And it's their own fault that they filed bankruptcy because they didn't have to. They just flat refused to fill out the paperwork to get the assistance that was available to them.
Why?
I have no idea. I don't know them personally. I just, as I say, my wife works at the hospital, and the hospital was definitely abuzz yesterday about it because they were all upset. I'm just lucky I happened to be able to get through to you today to let you know that, this is the real story.
Okay, go through it again. Let's go through the story again from beginning to end as you know it. Now, remember, if you don't know what we're talking about, folks, you're in tough trouble. This is a couple that wrote the president a letter complaining about the inadequacies of the health care system and how it forced them into bankruptcy, this illness of a man's wife, 2 weeks after some evil employer fired him. Clinton read this man's letter as part of the State of the Union show, and now we have someone calling from Carson City, Nevada, who knows somebody at the hospital.
My wife.
Your wife, who can put the light of truth on the events of the episode. So go again, sir. What exactly happened?
Exactly happened is they went into the hospital. She had her operation. They were able to pay $2,000 of the bill, which was a roughly $91,000 to the hospital and some $21,000 or $2,000 to doctors.
Let's stipulate that we all think that's astronomically, exorbitantly high, but that's the way it is. We're not suggesting that these guys should have come up with that kind of money. Go ahead.
Right. And what happened is because he was out of a job, he was eligible to get county assistance. He refused to fill out the paperwork for county assistance.
How much county assistance could he have gotten had he filled out the appropriate forms?
I don't know exactly how much, but the majority of the bill would have been covered, and he wouldn't have been billed anywhere near $91,000.
And he knew that he could do this.
Yes, he knew that he could do this. Then, before the hospital was even able to discuss any kind of a payment plan, which I know for a fact they'll take as little as $20 a month, because they write, as I said earlier, they wrote off $63 million worth last year alone.
Well, they don't write it off. I mean, they write it off, but
everyone else pays for it.
You better understand that. Yes, sir.
But the bottom line is he didn't actually have to pay for the whole thing. And he refused to fill that out and filed the bankruptcy before the hospital could even negotiate anything with him.
Now, the county assistance he could have gotten, would he have to supplement that with any of his any payments?
Probably, but
there's your answer. I'm telling you, there's the answer. Why he didn't go to Cobra? Didn't want to pay for it. Why didn't he want to go to the county and fill out the forms? Maybe he didn't like filling out forms. I can understand that. And maybe he didn't want to pay out of work. He is out of work, doesn't have any income. Maybe he didn't want to pay anything for it. I'm telling you, what's symptomatic here, is there are people who think that they are entitled to these kinds of benefits, that's what being an American is today, that you shouldn't have to pay for these kinds of things. That is, it gets back to responsibility. My gosh, if you have access to something and you have to pay something for it, and health care matters that much to you, then invest in it. Make a decision and pay for it and do without something else. We're faced with those kinds of decisions all day of our lives. And this notion that we shouldn't have to do without something, just because somebody has decided that we're in a crisis and it is a right, is conditioning people to think that a lot of other services ought to be just provided because, hey, we're Americans and that's what being an American is. And it's not, or at least it wasn't. And so now the letter becomes this national device to advance Clinton's agenda, misrepresenting what happened so as to portray the American system, which is, don't forget what I said yesterday, folks. Keep this in mind. From the perspective of any other time in American history, what's happening in the United States with healthcare is a solution to the problem. We got the best healthcare in the world, and we're having it portrayed as cranky old jalopy, which is about to break down, and there's no repair in sight unless the Clinton garage comes in and does an overhaul. And in fact, the healthcare system in this country is the envy of the world, is better than it has ever been at any time during human civilization. We're just cockeyed and out of proportion on this, and I'm glad you called.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate the facts. We'll be back in a minute.
You're listening to the EIB Network. Now, the American Spectator blows the lid off the cover-up to change the course of the 1992 presidential election. In the January issue at newsstands now, David Brock, author of The Real Anita Hill, uncovers a pattern of lies and law-breaking, including misuse of public funds and services for the facilitation of numerous extramarital affairs. Brock reveals that even after Bill and Hillary Clinton proclaimed on 60 Minutes that their marital difficulties were over, the affairs, deceptions, and abuse of public trust and money continued, right up to the inauguration. This astonishing report, the result of months of investigation, exposes unlawful attempts by administration staffers and the president himself to suppress this story and sheds new shocking light on the suicide of Vince Foster. Call 800-331-8848 and we'll open your subscription to the American Spectator today, starting with the blockbuster January issue. Call 800-331-8848. For $34.95, you'll get 12 issues of the American Spectator, including this major investigative report in your very first issue. Call 800-331-8848 now.
Okay, so you're ready to buy a car. The dealer gives you a price. Of course, unless you look like an experienced car buyer, that price went up the minute you walked in the door. Maybe you just look gullible. That could cost you 10 or 15%. But if you're really sharp, you haggle the price down. They take $300 off. Then you have to wonder, if they can take off $300, why not $500? Why not $1,000? Are you getting the best price? You never know. That's not the way we do it at Courtesy of Goldsboro. We have no hassle buying. Every Buick, every GMC truck, every program car, every pre-owned vehicle at Courtesy is marked up front with its bottom line no hassle price. Period. No negotiating, no dickering, no hassle. Not at Courtesy. Try it. You'll appreciate the difference no hassle buying makes. At Courtesy of Goldsboro on Highway 70 East Bypass, the only no-hassle Buick dealer in North Carolina.
The same movies all month long. Stations you don't like. A bill that gets bigger as the service gets smaller. Sound familiar? Yes, it sounds like I'm tied to the railroad tracks and you're snidely whiplash. AIM Electronics has the answer to the TV blues. The Tar Heel antenna, specially made for this area, picks up both UHF and VHF frequency, giving you the area stations you want with great reception at just $49.95, and there's no monthly bill. AIM Electronics, 411 East Ash Street, Goldsboro.
We can prevent the unthinkable. What is the unthinkable? A flood with no Red Cross shelter, a fire and no Red Cross volunteer, a tornado victim without hope. Last year was devastating to the Red Cross. 8,000 major disasters. As a result, our ability to help disaster victims is threatened. Please help. Call 1-800-842-2200. That's 1-800-842-2200. Prevent the unthinkable from happening.
I think we ought to restate the Andersons case, too, just to make sure that what they say is not distorted. They say that the hospital was not cooperative with them and that they didn't have enough of a original payment down. They made it, I don't know, the $20 a month that the previous caller said the hospital would take may be true, but the Andersons are saying that the hospital was insensitive to their inability to pay something down at the outset, so to speak, to get it all going. So, look, let me just say, I don't want to sit here and be perceived as coming down hard on the Andersons. What I'm trying to do here is come down hard on the president for using them. Now, the Andersons did send the president a letter, so forth, but the simple fact of the matter is that they got coverage. They got their medical treatment. The country provides it. They were not denied access to COBRA or to a continuing participation in the health insurance plan that this Mr. Anderson's employer was a part of. And what I'm concerned about an hour ago, we had our first call of the day from this guy down in Atlanta who said he was getting a little bit tired of me criticizing the president. I look at what's... I must tell you, I am truly, terribly alarmed at the true lack of real analysis of the statements, the goals, the agenda, and the means by which they are sought by this president by the dominant media culture. And I'm very much convinced that this is a president who's trying to make the rest of us think that this country is a nation of whiners. And he's trying to create us the impression that every American life is a sob story and that only Bill Clinton and government can make people happy. It's not the route to happiness, and it never has been.
We're going to test our home for radon. But we're going to have to act fast.
Why the rush?
Jones across the street told me he's testing for radon this week.
Look, honey, testing for radon's a great idea, but keeping up with the Joneses isn't the reason to do it.
You got a better one?
Well, radon's the second leading cause of lung cancer in the country.
Gee, I'm smarter than I thought. Yeah.
Test your home for radon now. It can be done quickly and inexpensively. For more information on radon testing, call 1-800-SOS-RADON. A message from the Ad Council and the EPA.
My father used to pat me on the back. My father never touched me.
My father bought me a bicycle one Christmas.
My father gave me a carton of cigarettes.
My father wanted my opinions, even when they weren't like his.
My father told me I was too young to know.
Years later, my dad said, "You're doing a radio spot. Great."
My father said, "A radio spot? What could you possibly know about dysfunctional families?"
Which one of these is your child? From people who think a father makes a real difference. The Mennonite churches.
WGBR, Goldsboro's very own.
From ABC News, I'm Gary Nunn. Wraps are off a piece of federal research which underscores the seriousness of the number of people killed by firearms. The study says that motor vehicle-related deaths topped 43,000 in 1991, down 19% from 1968. Deaths from firearms jumped 60% to 38,000. ABC's Kathleen Barnes reports.
Those statistics are already making a strong statement. In 6 states and the District of Columbia, more people were killed by guns than in motor vehicle crashes in 1991. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, taking a strong new tack against violence, says there are more firearm deaths than motor vehicle fatalities in California, New York, Texas, Louisiana, Nevada, Virginia, and Washington, D.C. The CDC forecasts gunshot deaths will outstrip all other forms of accidental death throughout the country in 9 years. The reason? Guns are available for more kids, and kids are killing kids. Kathleen Barnes, ABC News, Atlanta.
U.S. figure skating champion Tonya Harding, now practicing at a rink in Portland, Oregon, is expected to make a statement shortly. No indication of the nature of it. The Senate, voting 62-38 in a non-binding resolution, encourages the president to lift the trade embargo against Vietnam as a trade-off to find out more about MIAs. Dave Schmidt, North Dakota adjutant of the American Legion, frowns on the move.
The government over there is as thick as the jungles are, too. And there's just no way to get through all of it without having a machete in your hand, and that's basically what we have with the trade embargo. We have something that can cut through the denseness of their government over there.
Schmidt, a veteran of Vietnam, served in the Air Force. 2 of the 3 remaining assisted suicide charges against Dr. Jack Kevorkian have been dismissed. The Oakland County Circuit Judge, Jessica Cooper, is the 3rd judge to declare Michigan's law banning assisted suicide unconstitutional. That just in from Pontiac, Michigan. You're listening to ABC News.
Your kids want a buzz cut? You want a haircut.
Mom!
They want an iguana. You want goldfish. They want Quaker Chewy granola bars. You want Quaker Chewy granola bars.
Whoa!
How is this possible? Chocolate chips, nuts, raisins, and peanut butter give Quaker Chewy the taste kids love. Whole grain oats, wheat, and rice give you plenty to feel good about. Hey, sometimes you get lucky. Quaker Chewy granola bars. The good things kids love.
Now at the Sears Brand Central National Home Appliance Sale, pay nothing, nada, zilch, zero until next April. Just use your Sears charge. This Thursday, Friday, and Saturday only. Ask for the delayed billing option and get what you want today. You'll have no billing, no finance charge, no payments, no nothing until April. Minimum purchase $200, APR 21%. Minimum finance charge 50 cents, both lower in some states. Regular credit terms apply after April 1st. See store for details. Now at the National Home Appliance Sale at Sears Brand Central.
A vaccine against chickenpox gets a thorough going over by the Food and Drug Administration today. An FDA advisory committee is hearing from Merck, the maker of Varivax, about its safety and effectiveness. The mayor of Marlborough, Massachusetts, indicates he will sign a bill on his desk right now cracking down on racist graffiti writers. City Councilor James Agaritsis, who wrote the bill, explains,
the community ought not to be paying a gratuity or give to an individual who's committed this crime a gratuitous benefit, such as being allowed to use certain recreational facilities, use a public library. These are gratuitous benefits.
The bill includes jail terms for adults or school expulsion for kids. Oliver North is running for the Senate from the state of Virginia. Supporters of Oliver North showed up this morning in Norfolk, Virginia, where he made it official.
With all the commitment and energy and dedication that my heart can muster, my answer is yes. I will be your senator in the United States Senate.
North, a Republican, former White House aide, and Iran-Contra figure, says he will run as an outsider, his word, and will challenge career politicians by pushing for term limits. North will face Democratic Senator Charles Robb. Wall Street, Dow Jones Industrials are now up 11.26 at 39.19. This is ABC News.
Pip Printing has another offer that'll get your business a lot of free press. Come to Pip during January, order 1,000 or more carbonless business forms, and we'll give you 500 more free. Now that's the kind of free press your business can really use. So hurry to Pip and order 1,000 or more 2-part, 3-part, up to 6-part carbonless business forms and get 500 more free. Offer good for a limited time. Some restrictions apply. Call your participating Pip for complete details. Pip Printing, the best business printer in the business.
For the ABC Information Network, I'm Gary Nunn.
This is Billy Patterson, Veterans Employment Representative with the Goldsboro Job Service Office. Have a job for an audiovisual specialist. We'll set up and operate audiovisual equipment to produce videotapes, slide programs, taking and developing pictures, and multimedia computer graphics. Needs a BS or a BA degree. Have a job for a training instructor. Will be training instructor for one of several technical jobs on the F-15E aircraft. Must have at least 5 years experience. The jobs are in Saudi Arabia. Have a job for a forklift operator. Will operate a heavy forklift to unload logs and lumber. Must have experience on heavy forklift up to 25,000 pounds. For more information, contact Goldsboro Job Service on 109 West Ash Street, 8:30 to 4:30, Monday through Friday. WGBR.
And welcome back. Glad you're with us. Rush Limbaugh from high atop the EIB building in Midtown Manhattan. Another hour of broadcast excellence dead ahead in your face.
This is a special edition of the Rush Limbaugh program, America Held Hostage. And now, from our studios in New York City, here is Rush Limbaugh.
One day at a time for the last time. Hopefully, if it looks like a long shot, we count the days of the raw deal. It does look like a long shot. I don't see how this guy loses right now. I'm sorry, I don't see how he loses. Day 373 for the poor and the middle class. Day 392 for the rich and the dead. 1,087 days left in this hostage crisis if it lasts only one term. Phone number is 1-800-282-2882. Let's talk about the budget. Let's talk about the budget. That sounds boring. Yeah, why talk about that, folks? Why, Rush, come on, talk about something sexy. Why don't you talk about Tanya Harding? That's sexy. What Tanya Harding? All right, I'll talk about Tanya Harding for a minute. You want to hear some things about Tanya Harding? The public doesn't believe her denials. The public thinks that she was intimately involved, that she was part of the orchestration of the attack on the lovely and gracious Nancy Kerrigan. The surrounding cast of characters that Tanya Harding has assembled, from that bodyguard on down to those who actually did the deed, it's a joke. I mean, it's funny other than what they did. I think that there's one thing, maybe this is the wrong way to talk about this, but you know what amazes me? What amazes me is that during all of this, Tanya Harding has not cracked. She's still out there rehearsing. She's out there going through her routine. This is a young girl. How old is she, 23? She's a young girl. Here she is every day. People are trying to get her to answer questions. Did you hire that bodyguard? Did you hire these idiots to go out and beat up your opponent's leg? Or did you maybe even want to kill her? And she's not cracking. There aren't too many 23-year-olds here that wouldn't crack under this. Don't frown at me snurdly like that. I'm telling you, I mean, this is pressure. Most people don't know this kind of pressure, especially if she did it. If she did it, she's gotten caught here, and she's known it for the life. I mean, she has to know that they're closing in on her if she did it, and she knows whether or not she did. And yet she's out there rehearsing in front of people every day, and it doesn't look like that she's practicing. It doesn't look like it's affecting her at all. Now, it may be that she goes home, gets behind closed doors, and caves, but it certainly doesn't appear so. She's still working out and practicing just as hard as if she was totally uninvolved in any of this. And I think, what do you mean shades of Amy Fisher? I think that this is I'm amazed by it. Most people would crack. You take your average female figure skater and put them in this situation, and I guarantee you they wouldn't be bearing up under it the way Tanya Harding has. Now, I'm not saying this says anything about her that, well, now in America today, I just thought of this. In America today, look at how well she's bearing up under this. Oh, go ahead and let her skate. Well, what if it's proven that she actually did hire this idiot to go out and beat up on her opponent? Well, you know, just let her skate. You know, she's good. She's working so hard. She probably feels sorry about it now. I mean, the fastest way to exonerate Tanya Harding is just call a trial right now. Get a jury up there, send her to court, have her cry. The jury will say not guilty for whatever reason, and she goes on to Lilyhammer and skates. So it is in America. So there, you wanted to hear about Tanya Harding? There's Tanya Harding. How many wives, how many husbands has her mother had? 7 or 9? I mean, she has not come from what you would call a privileged, easy background. That's why she's hardened to this kind of thing. Tougher interrogation. Okay, now, forget the budget. The budget can be summed up this way. The Democrats are still spending money like it's nobody's business. There have been a lot of people suggest that, hey, if we're going to bail out the people in Southern California because of the earthquake, which we should, then let's not do it off budget like Democrats want to do health care. Let's do it on budget, and let's cut some existing programs, because remember, the president said in his State of the Union speech that we're going to have 3 years of declining deficits. And we've got to get the deficit under control. By the way, I want you people to understand that the deficit it is still, even though it's come down, it's still as high as it's ever been. Under Reagan, there were a couple of Reagan years where it was lower. Just for perspective and historical purposes here. But so the fact of the matter is that the president now is the economic, we're going to have $500 billion deficit reduction, and it's just done. Congress did that. Never been cooperation like this in the last 30 years. It's just marvelous. Now we got this earthquake, got to bail everybody out of. We're going to do it off budget. Off budget means we don't care what it costs. We're not going to count how much it costs. And then after we spend it, we're going to pretend we didn't. And so it's not going to add up to any deficit whatsoever. And the Republicans say, wait just a minute. You can't do it that way. We're as interested in reducing spending as you are, you Democrats, which really is not true. Democrats are not interested in reducing spending at all. They are interested in the illusion that they are reducing spending, but that's how Democrats stay. Democrats spend money. Look, you don't believe me? The National Taxpayers Union, let me find this. The National Taxpayers Union, I have it right here. They put out a report earlier this week calculating all of the big spenders in Congress. The individual in the House of Representatives who leads the pack this year is somebody who is not even a real representative. Eleanor Holmes Norton, who's a delegate from Washington, D.C. She's not even an elected member. She's just a delegate, just goes there to ostensibly represent the people of the District of Columbia. She sponsored or co-sponsored legislation that, if enacted, would cost $673 billion last year. Number 2, Democrat from New York, Charles Chuck Rangel, $651 billion of spending that he supported. You have to go down to the congressman in 93rd place before you find a member of Congress who sponsored less than $500 billion of spending. New spending. This is new spending. This is not continuation of existing spending. And you have to go down to position number 94 before you find the first Republican. The top 93 spenders in the House of Representatives are Democrats. And the top 92 have sponsored or co-sponsored legislation that would spend at least $501 billion or more during 1993. And this is the party of the president which stands up there and says, we're getting this budget under control and we're reducing spending and we've had legitimate freezes. That was one of the biggest lies in that whole State of the Union show, that there has been a federal spending freeze. Gosh, if that had happened, that would be a wonderful thing. That would be absolutely great, but it hasn't happened. So with that knowledge, here we go with the Los Angeles earthquake. The Democrats don't want the relief spending to be off or on budget. They want it to be off budget. The Republicans, those who are adopting fiscal responsibility, are saying, no, if we're going to spend it, and we can, the Republicans are not saying the people out there don't need it, but we got to get the money from somewhere. We're in debt. We don't have the money. We are going to have to take the money from some other program and divert that money out there. Now, the same situation came up after the floods of the Mississippi River and other rivers in the Midwest. And the Democrats once again came up with money off budget and spent it out there, and nobody knows how much and where and didn't know where it came from or any of that. And now it's as though we didn't spend it. Back on July 23rd, during the middle of debate over how much federal aid should be destined for the Great Midwest Flood of '93, the Speaker of the House, Thomas Foley, agreed to create a congressional disaster task force to study how to avoid conflicts over the funding of future disasters. It hasn't happened. The task force never was formed. The task force never, ever happened. And he asked Foley for an update on the status of the task force. Since last summer, he's sent Foley 3 letters wanting to know the status of the creation of the task force, and Foley has not even responded. Meanwhile, yesterday, the White House was floating their draft supplemental bill around Congress to the tune of $7 billion for California's earthquake victims, the first of what may be several supplemental requests. So it's the point here, my friends, and while you're out there feeling euphoric over the State of the Union speech and you think that the budget is now being reined in and that the deficit is coming down and that there have been changes in the way things occur in Washington because of this rosy State of the Union show we got the other night, I am here to tell you it's the same old way. And the top spenders, Democrat, the top 93 spenders in the House are Democrats, and they have sponsored or co-sponsored over $500 billion each of new spending in 1993. After this break, we'll return to your phone calls, so don't go away.
You're listening to the EIB Network.
There's no free lunch in America, especially when you're in sales. You've got to maximize every opportunity and strike when your prospects are hot. That's why more and more of America's sales superstars are using a new secret weapon, Maximizer for Windows. Easy-to-use Maximizer software instantly turns your PC into a sales command center, tracking every detail of your customer contacts, managing your schedule, speeding correspondence, alerting you when it's time to send a letter or make a call, and systematically moving your prospects toward a buying decision so you close sale after sale after sale like you've never done before. Maximizer users report doubling, even tripling their business. No wonder PC Magazine